Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Board Masters with me, Chris Mullins, and today I will be looking at unboxing This War of Mine, the board game. And this game is one that I am extremely excited about. Awaken Realms have very quickly become my favourite board game developer, largely based on the promise of their games, because I haven't actually played any of them yet. But if you've seen any of my videos about what games I've backed in the future and things and what I'm excited by, there is more by Awaken Realms than anyone else. I think I've bought 5. In fact, since I recorded those videos, I had this one bought for me by my wife for Christmas, and I also pre-ordered Tainted Grail for myself, and that should hopefully arrive within the next couple of weeks with a bit of luck. And on top of that, I've got Great Wall coming, as well as Etherfields and ISS Vanguard. So I'm hugely excited for this. Bit nervous as well, because after all the sort of hype that I've had myself for Awaken Realms, if I don't enjoy the first one, it's going to put a bit of a downer on things. Especially as in terms of this one is based on a video game, which I have played. And whilst I did enjoy it, I didn't love it, and I did give up on it relatively quickly. And for me, whilst I really enjoyed the premise of survivors in a war zone, basically trying to get through the day and scavenge enough supplies to get through and avoid being attacked by thugs and protect their stuff, in the actual video game, it got to a point where combat is pretty much unavoidable, and for me the controls for the combat made it unplayable, so I had to give it up. So thankfully it's nothing theme related. It was a controls issue for me, so I'm hoping that's not going to affect the enjoyment of this, because obviously the theme is the same and the controls are completely different because it's not a video game. But let's crack in. And again, for anyone who knew me or before board games, so know me from video game groups and whatnot I've been over the years, they will know I am all about the narrative driven games. Love a big long story game. I've mentioned that on the channel before, so this really appeals to me. The artwork captures the video game atmosphere perfectly from what I've seen so far. So we have the Book of Scripts. Wow. Okay. So this is obviously a book of text-based things that you're going to interact with during the game. It's going to tell you to go to that script and read it, and then it says at the end of each script, back to game. And it looks like there's choices, almost like Fighting Fantasy Choose Your Own, which is really exciting for me because, you know, Fighting Fantasy was probably my start for games, even before video games. I still got 8 of the books, I think. No, mate, I think I've got 16. And I just love them. So having that sort of element in this is really exciting. I mean, how many have we got here? We've got 1,947 different scripts. Got a list of the components, and I'm really excited to get this on the channel in terms of gameplay really quickly, because one thing they do stress about the game is that there isn't really a rule book. You've got this setup, and then from there you just start playing and you learn the rules as you're playing, basically. So there's no long-winded process of learning the rules to the game, which is something I've come to learn over the last 6 months or so as being in the hobby. If you remember from my Dinosaur Island footage, I mentioned how when that arrived, me and the wife tried to play it that night. So we opened the box, tried to set it up, which took 45 minutes, then tried to learn the game and play that, which probably took another hour and a half for a short game, and then putting it away was another 30 minutes on top of that. And it was a really unpleasant experience, whereas now I've been in the hobby long enough to learn that whenever you're getting a new game, you've got to read the rule book once, twice, 3 times. I watch Rodney Smith's Watch It Played videos a lot. It's a fantastic channel. If you ever want to learn about a game, I'll link to it down below. But yeah, a lot of work goes into learning a game, and it's probably one of the biggest hurdles to getting a game to the table for me in my experience so far. So a game where you don't have any of that, you just get straight to it, is quite exciting. So this setup is in the journal. During a playthrough, after setup, you'll go through a full day and night cycle that is divided into 7 phases as described in the journal. You do not have to know all the rules to begin this experience. The icons, decks, keywords, spaces, attributes, and other elements will be explained as you proceed. That is all. Let us begin. You'll learn everything else during the game. So, as I said, it's just going to walk you through it as you go. We've got the save sheets, which again just emphasizes the campaign nature of the game. So it's got your locations and your storage and your components. Again, first time really, well, by the time I go to the channel, I'll have been playing Seventh Continent, which has a save system. This one looks a bit more in depth than that one, but again, I haven't used a game with a save system yet. So again, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Okay, the Endless Night. This war changed everything. It even changed day and night. Over the past week, the intense shelling and raging fires have blackened the sky with smoke and dust. We barely see the sun anymore. It's so hard to tell the difference between day and night that we learn to differentiate between shades of grey. This change freed us from the threat posed by snipers, but it also opened the streets to looters. Will the sun return when the war ends? And again, that's really nicely tied to the video game, because that is pretty much entirely depicted in shades of grey. And so this, I believe, are 2 different scenarios, which I wasn't aware of what's in there. I thought it was just the key game, really. And then we got another scenario, the last day, so that adds a bit more replayability to it. And now we're going to get into the meat and bones of the components, which again I'm excited by, because Awaken Realms have a very good reputation for the quality of their components. And yeah, these are all certainly recognizable things from the video game, and that raw differentiates between raw food and canned, herbs to make your medicines, boarding up your sort of base so that thugs can't get in there, the basic weapons you can create, I don't know what the word is, creating your own alcohol, which comes in very handy, certainly for trading. More supplies, so vegetables, consumables, and other weapons, and obviously measurements on your fatigue and things. But again, these all feel nice and sturdy and resilient. And the third one again is more of the same. Let's have a look at here. So this, I'm guessing, well, it's clearly a board of some sort, and it's definitely sizable. I'm gonna have to move my boxes. I didn't expect, well, I didn't know what to expect really, but I certainly didn't expect a board of that size. And again, that is looking like your home base, where you have to start off, you can see little bits labelled rubble and things like that, and closed doors that you have to basically explore your base when you first go in, because you'll find components and resources dotted around, and then you venture out and about searching for resources. But again, that does a really good job translating the art style of the game into the board game. So what else have we got in here? Got some miniatures, and I think these are, well, they're obviously the characters, which I believe are the same ones from the video game. So you have different strengths and things. That one of the characters was an ex-athlete, so he could run faster. One was an ex-chef, so he gave you bonuses for your cooking and things. One of them was a kid, so that they talking to them actually like raised your spirits. Although I'm not sure they're in here. I haven't seen a kid anyway. Oh, that could be. It's a bit shorter than the rest. But they look really cool. Oh, guitar on that one. Nice detail. And plenty of choice. So I'm guessing some of them will be the thugs that attack the base. These are just, I'm not really sure. I think they're just colour token things to go, that you put the miniatures on when you've picked your characters and use those to move around the board. Some interesting dice. So we got a D10. I'm guessing this is melee combat dice. So we got a couple of fists, one fist. Not entirely sure what else that would be used for. That one looks like a range combat die in terms of the targeting reticules on there. So I'm assuming the more reticules on there, the more damage you're going to do. I think that's just a standard D10, but again, I haven't really handled a D10 before. That's how new to the hobby I am. And this one is your, again, melee combat, but melee combat with blades and other weapons. And in here, oh, we've got lots of little goodies in this one. Various components and things. So we got the gears, and going to go into your crafting, like workbenches and things like that. Oh, they got a very satisfying little clink and sound to them, which I didn't expect. I thought they were just going to be standard plastic, but they feel really nice. Some nice, pretty sort of beads. Be interesting to see what these are for, and maybe to do with water, perhaps. I'm not sure what the red one will be for, unless it... But again, very, very pretty. And these ones, perhaps your lumber. Oh, but again, a very satisfying noise to them, and a good feel. Yeah, they surprised me. I thought they were just sort of generic tokens, but they feel really, really nice. And then we start moving into the cards. Learned my lesson with these in the past. I have seriously struggled to open card packets on the channel previously. And even with a knife, it's not the easiest. So these are obviously going to be your events as you work through the narrative, famines and food shortages and things, obstacles and hurdles you're going to have to overcome. Again, I don't want to dive into the cards too deeply because, again, it's a game that you learn on the go, and if I look too hard now, then that's going to spoil things for me, which is the last thing I want. And these are your places where you venture out to gain your resources, maybe do some trades. Again, it's the same areas, same layouts by the look of it as well that were used in the video game, which again is a really nice touch that I really appreciate. Sniper Junction, you don't want to go there if you can avoid it. Yeah, interesting. I wonder if I didn't notice it, the small house with the old couple in, which is sort of almost a featured destination in the video game because it's somewhere where they present this little cottage which has got a lot of resources with an old couple living in it, where the old woman is sick and the old man's following you about the house, pleading with you not to take their stuff and not to take the medicine because she's sick and doesn't want her to die. And it's very much throws that sort of morality in your face. It's like, do you steal it anyway? Do you beat them up and kill them? How do you deal with it? Do you leave more resources than you normally would because you actually do feel guilty, which actually happened to me the first time I was there. I did take some stuff that I felt was essential, but did leave them with medicine and food and things, which is something that I was quite surprised that I would feel like that so quickly. I mean, I do usually like to be the good guy in games. That was taking it to an a greater extent to normal. These are obviously civilians and rats and rebels and soldiers and other survivors and thugs. Help the sick and wounded. So these are going to be little quests that you get where to get rewards and penalties. Again, I imagine it's going to be almost like the sort of thing that's established in series like The Walking Dead and things these days, where people are almost punished for going out of their way and being too altruistic, and helping people opens you up to getting screwed, basically. And that does happen a lot in the video game, so it'll be interesting to see if it pans out the same way in these. Again, a lot of people asking for help, beggars. Oh, a doctor comes to help, and again that happens in the game randomly. Every other day, really, you'll get people who visit your base to trade or to ask for help. So again, from what I've seen so far, this does a really, really good job of adapting the core mechanics of the video game, which I'm really excited about, because other than the controls of the combat, I did really enjoy the base mechanics. I guess going to be determine the random nature of what you find, whether you're finding food, whether you're finding furniture, or whether you're finding components. And these are your obstructions as you're going through the buildings and things as you're searching and scavenging. So places to search and obstacles like closed doors and bars that you have to cut through. So again, yeah, just even more evidence of how much work and how much care has gone into adapting the game. Okay, and these are the characters. Anton is Professor of Mathematics. Erica, the cat burglar, I definitely remember her from the video game. And Bruno, the chef. They were two that I had in my party. And I had Pavla, the soccer player, who was faster. Roman I did encounter. He was good at fighting because he deserted the military. So again, lots of different characters, each with their own skills and bonuses and benefits. Again, it's just going to add more variety and replayability to the game. Really exciting. I mean, as I said at the beginning, I was quite nervous about this, that with it being my favourite company in Awakened Realms, despite the fact I hadn't played any of their games, that opening this would almost kill the hype for me. But at the moment, I'm liking everything I see about this, and it's just making me even more excited to play it and to play their future games coming up. I mean, got some blank ones. Tainted Grail is really exciting, and as I said, should be here in the next month or so. I believe the Great Wall will be around Easter. Certainly that was the pre-COVID estimated arrival time, and understandably most games have suffered delays as a result of that, so I wouldn't be surprised if Great Wall suffers with that as well. I wouldn't blame them at all, but hopefully it's not going to be too long in the future. And Etherfields, I wasn't in the hobby when the campaign was on. I managed to get a pledge when they opened the pledge manager late 2020. So hopefully that will arrive before the end of the year. And ISS Vanguard, I think, is supposed to hit late summer, which seems remarkable, really, given the campaign literally just ended early this year. So to get it out in such a detailed game that looks right up my street, to get that out in 7 months seems ambitious, but I'll give them the faith and the benefit of the doubt in that. Again, not sure what these colours are for. That'd be interesting to see. There wasn't any sort of colour mechanic that I remember from the video game, but from some of the text on there, it looks like it's related to the Book of Scripts. So close call, play during any ignore all wounds. So these are going to be your sort of event cards and your tools that you use to give yourself a benefit in certain situations, like in combat. And these are the things you build within your base. So you build your alcohol still so you can create your alcohol. You build a bed so that you can sleep and so you're not as fatigued. You make cage traps so you can catch rats in your house so that you actually have a regular supply of fresh meat. Again, it sort of gives an indication of just how dire the situation can be. This isn't a fun environment for your characters at all. Also, I'll mention, although it's not by the same board game company in terms of Awakened Realms. The video game is made by 11-Bit Studios, who also made Frostpunk, which is a video game that I absolutely loved and played off the back of the Kickstarter campaign for the board game for Frostpunk, which I've also backed. So although that's not Awakened Realms, there is the connection with 11-Bit Studios, which has me really excited for that as well. And again, that's one that I'll be putting on the channel as soon as I can. Again, lots of options there to build out your base, provided you can get the right components. These are obviously going to be your combat. So rugged hooligans, or hoodlums, sorry, not hooligans. Whether these are ones that are invading your base or ones you encounter when you are out scavenging, I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's ones that are attacking your base, looking at that card, because that's choose a character currently on guard duty. Yeah, so starving people trying to get at your resources and things. And that is everything in the core game, I believe. I'll just check under here. No, nothing under there. So that's everything in the core game. You may have noted I do have the Days of the Siege and the Tales from the Ruined City expansions there as well. I'm not going to open those in this video because I think we've got enough on around the table as it is. But my thoughts on that, I'm very, very excited by it. I think it looks gorgeous. The component quality is really, really good. It's got, knowing the pedigree of Awakened Realms, I'm even more excited. And also I've done a video talking about how there is a distinct lack of highly rated video game adaptations in the board game market. This one is the highest rated adaptation to date. So I am very, very excited to play this. And again, I'm hoping to get it to the table and on the channel very, very soon, because it's one that I'm aiming to record our very first playthrough just to see how easy it is to pick up these rules, because of the element of having no rule book as such. And I think it'd be really interesting to document that as someone who's very new to the hobby and has never had a board game that doesn't have a rule book before. I know there are a few out there, but I haven't experienced them. So I think that'll be really interesting to show, and I hope you feel the same and want to check that out. But I hope you enjoyed looking at this War of Mine, by Awakened Realms, and thank you very much for spending the time with me. Hope you've had a good one, and see you soon. Bye-bye now.